Yep. Okay. We're probably at our last class, Garden of Shalom. We're on page 304. Yeah. Last pages. Basically, we're going to summarize Be'ezat Hashem the book. So the last thing that he says is self-correction. Self-correction. Self-correction is our greatest and most challenging obligation in life. By improving our character, we merit a good life both in this world and in the next. Marital peace and success in raising our children all has to do with our self-correction. Throughout the Talmud and the Zohar, our sages that emphasize the importance of character improvement, correct? We've spoken about many times. Before we even started this book, we were trying to do Rav Dessler's book, we were trying to do other books that were, constantly saying that what? Self-correction. You have to constantly improve yourself. Our sages say, when the spirit of man is pleased with a person, the spirit of Hashem is pleased with him as well. Yeah, that's an ethics of the fathers in Pirkei Avot. Our sages equate anger with idolatry and arrogance with denial of Hashem's existence. Meaning, when a person is arrogant, and we spoke about it before, when he's arrogant, he's denying Hashem's existence. Why? Because he's saying, I'm the one who exists, not Hashem. How can you have arrogance? Hashem created you. How can you have any kind of arrogance in this world? You know what I mean? So he says, they teach that the trait of humility and modesty invoke the divine spirit to rest on a person. When a person is modest and humble and not, Hashem rests with him. Eliyahu the prophet of blessed memory said, the Torah can only be expounded by someone who isn't stern. And I too will not reveal myself except to someone who isn't stern. Stern means very rigid. Yeah. Who is one who merits the word to come? He who is humble. And we spoke about it, I think 2 days ago before the holiday. We said, why was the Torah given with Moshe Rabbeinu? Why not with Abraham? Why not with Yitzchak? Why not with Yaakov? Why not with David? Yeah, each one of them was humble. Remember what we said? We said that each one of them compared their humbleness to a certain item in this world that's very lowly, like the dust on the earth, like a worm, like this, like that. Yeah, but Moshe Rabbeinu said, "What? Ma?" He said, "What am I? What am I? What? I'm air. I'm nothing." Meaning, what's air? You see, air there's no substance to it. You hear? And therefore, since he was so humble that he equated himself with nothing, Hashem said, "Oh, through you, I'm going to give you the Torah." And they said that when he expressed himself, when he said the statements from the Torah, his voice was heard everywhere. No microphone, no nothing. Why? Because he almost was given godly powers to be able to. So I told you that I read a Divrei Torah. He said, furthering that, we're given the opportunity here in this world, 70 years, 80 years, to be able to work on our character, to be able to work on our humility so that we can be humble. Why? Because when we get to the next world, the only way we can get closer to Hashem and attach ourselves to the source of our neshama is what? Through being humble. If you're not humble, Hashem doesn't want to see you. He doesn't want your attachment because you're thinking you're more than Him. And therefore, this book ties in with this humble situation where He wants us to work on ourselves in our marriage through what? Through putting our ga'ava down, through putting our ego down. Now, on that, a person wants to say, but wait a second, what, I'm going to be a mop? No, chas v'shalom. Moshe Rabbeinu was the humblest man on earth, and the Torah testifies to it. But yet, he was the leader of Am Yisrael. He was the one who gave the Torah. He was the catalyst that brought down the law to the whole world. Yes. You hear? How could that be then? But he was the lowliest, he was the most humble man of ever. Yes, he was humble, but yet he was the premier leader of the entire world. Same thing with David HaMelech. David HaMelech was very humble, but yet he was the king. So how could it be? You could be humble but yet be a king? Yes, that's the what? It's a prerequisite, but I wanted to say that's the fine line of when a person says, "What do you mean? If I'm going to humble myself in front of my wife, and constantly eat whatever she's throwing at me, what am I? Am I like the floor? No, chas v'shalom. No. He wants you to be a humble leader. And a humble leader is Moshe Rabbeinu. A humble king is David HaMelech. You hear? So just because you broke your ego down to zero, it doesn't mean you're nobody. It means you're bigger somebody, the opposite. It means you're a bigger somebody. Sometimes we think when we are full of ego and gava that we're somebody. No, you're nobody. Why? Because then nobody respects you. Who does a person respect? A person who can humble himself, yet stand his ground. You hear? Be a true leader. And that's what he's saying. He said, our whole existence in this world is to be able to humble ourselves. And Eliyahu Hanavi says that I only come to a person that's humble. In the book Tana Devi Eliyahu, Eliyahu the prophet, Eliyahu Hanavi teaches a golden rule for how man should conduct himself with his family. He says, coming from the mouth of Eliyahu, this rule is tantamount to a divine directive. Yeah, he says, Eliyahu Hanavi says the following. He says, be lowly and humble to all men and to the members of your family more than to any man. Here it says, be humble with somebody else, but to your family, even more so. It says, we are told, be lowly and humble to all men, which means to bear insult without retaliation, to listen when others rebuke us, and we are to do this to an even greater extent with our eyes. Meaning, a person who hears something bad about himself, about him talking about, and he reacts. That's a childish action. Why? Because you're not holding your ground. Correct? When Shimi ben Gera, when he was cursing at David HaMelech, David HaMelech didn't go crazy. Yeah, the people around him said, "You tell us, we shoot him right away." He said, No. Hashem is talking. Hashem allowed him to say it. Let him. You hear? So he stood his ground. He didn't break down. He didn't start crying. He didn't start, let's go get him. Yeah. So he says, Eliyahu, he says, you be humble. What's that mean? If you're insulted, stay your ground. Stay your ground. Don't break down. Yeah? And all the more so when you're insulted, quote unquote, by your wife, you have to stay even further ground. She'll respect you much more. Why? Because she says, wow, it doesn't faze him. Not that chas v'shalom, you in her face, kilo, I'm going to show you that it doesn't matter. No. Humbly accept whatever is being said. Why? Because at the end of the day, it means you've done some actions, whether explicitly or implicitly, right? Or not physically, but somehow she's bothered by you. So therefore, if she's saying this, it means you need to have heard it from Hashem, and therefore hold your composure. You want to say something?
To be humble, how do you achieve that?
How do you achieve that?
How do you achieve that?
To start becoming. Well, first of all, we have a lot of Musar books that are going to explain to you that to mamash say, listen, Bichlal, who are you? Know where you came from and know where you're going. Unfortunately, the more and more I talk to people, the more they think they're very. Why should Hashem punish me? What did I do? I'm like, what? You mamash, you're such a tzaddik that that you never did any kind of averot. You never spoke to your parents in a disrespectful way, where the Torah commands that you should honor your parents. You never, you always prayed the way it's supposed. You always ate kosher. Meaning they make themselves look like they're. We all have faults, some type of faults. What you always think of, holy things. Your mind never escaped and thought about shtuyot. You hear?
So you have to remain in constant awareness of your wrongdoing.
Well, not only that, but who are you? We are nobody. We could right now walk out and if Hashem wills it, person's not here anymore.
Rabbi said last class.
Yeah.
Where the gava is coming from?
No.
Is coming from Hashem.
Okay, good.
Because we are Hashem breathing.
Very good.
So, but what we have to do with this gava? We said we need to polish it.
Very good. Very good. But you know what? But instead, we replace Hashem and we make ourselves Hashem.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's imagine you're in a king's palace and you're the right-hand man of the king. Right? And he says, okay, this is the key to all the treasures. You appropriated the way you're supposed to. Now, is he going to say, this is all mine? None of it is his. You understand? Whose is it? The king's. So he's allowing me to be able to appropriate the funds the way I'm supposed to. So therefore here, you said, Hashem gives us the gava. He does. In order for us what? In order for us to maintain a certain composure about ourselves, to be able to function as normal human beings. Besides, trying to improve and so on and so forth. Because if we don't have that, it'll be difficult for us to go. But whose gava is this? This is Hashem's. So therefore, in front of Him, we're supposed to what? Shiviti Hashem lenegdi tamid. Hashem is right in front of me. It's not about you. It's about how could I even think I'm anybody when Hashem is right in front of me? This was the quality of Moshe, where he said, "Who am I? I'm just air. I'm nobody."
I'll say it in a different way.
Yeah.
If you know who you are, so why are you jumping?
Self-esteem.
The person who don't know who he is, right? So he will jump up and down and say, "What you telling me?" Why? Because he forgot that you're a son of the king, and you have to know who you are. And this guy, he is the miskin, not you. So you at least hold your
Composure.
yeah. Don't act like that.
So then, when it comes to a wife, he says, be more than that,
Yeah.
be more humble. So,
Because she will challenge you. And how she gonna challenge you?
Yeah. Rav Chaim Vital, whose teachings come from the Holy Arizal, right?
Yeah.
The Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, of blessed memory, writes in his Gates of Holiness that what? Bad character traits are worse than actual transgressions. Bad character traits are worse than actual transgressions. Why? Hashem wants us to be more exacting about our character traits than with adhering to all the positive and negative commandments. For with good character traits, keeping the commandments is easy. You hear? Meaning you could be a good boy, tefillin, so on and so forth, but have such an evil character trait and do so many averot, in the long run, that your tefillin and your Shabbat and your kashrut is not going to do much. So he says, better work on your character traits and solidify your character traits. This way you'll easily do all the mitzvot. He says, a few steps are involved in acquiring a good trait. First, one must learn about the nature of the desired traits, the paths that lead to acquiring it, and the factors that detract from it. He should also weigh the benefits of acquiring the trait against the losses incurred by not doing so. Then, he should evaluate himself daily in regards to that particular trait. He should thank Hashem for whatever progress he makes and pray to Hashem to help him truly change and acquire the desired trait. Nobody does this.
that's a prescription. yeah.
Why? Well, you have the major prescription. Why? Because the way they are, that's they want to be. That's the way they want to be. And they want the whole world to change too.
That's the exact formula that Mr. Sharm uses, by the way.
Oh, so imagine a person is a jealous person, and he wants everybody else to work on his jealousy. How is that? How can everybody else work on your jealousy?
To fit into his
Exactly, to fit into my jealousy, and therefore don't talk to me like this. Don't I gotta. How is that?
No, a person can say to his wife, "That's who I am.
Exactly, which many people do.
Don't start to change me now. You knew where you're heading to. And זהו. חוץ תגיד כוש. זהו. גמרנו.
Yep.
This is such a terrible statement. What?
And many of us do say that. Many of us do say that.
Well, of course.
And we believe that. Until we get slapped in the face and understand that, wow, what did I come to this world for?
And the beauty is that the opposite, you cannot say a word. to your
Yeah.
wife.
Because
No comments.
at the end of the day, she's married to you. She wants to do your will. As he says, as many other books say, as we're learning the Gemara, you lead. You're the leader. So therefore, if you're breaking down like a woman and having this, I'm like this, I'm like that, you cannot change me. So she's also the same way. You hear? When she sees a leader that's forefront and he's changing, and she knows you're changing because she knows who you are, or at least who she's been living with. Yeah? Once she sees that commitment, believe me, she's going to do exactly the same thing and change herself, or at least try to do that.
But he claims that the women are perfect.
Again, perfect in what sense?
They're complete.
So remember what we always said. Many times over here they said what? Nah, she's like this, she's like that. Was she like that when you married her? She was not like that. What happened?
She became a mirror.
So she was perfect. At least in the sense of how you saw her in the beginning. So you damaged her,
Yes.
and now you have to undamage.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
Sometimes she comes with the baggage.
again, she does, but why did you marry her?
You didn't have
You saw it.
any other better choice.
No, that's your problem, my friend. That's your problem. If you're an idiot who just got into because you had no better choice and you saw all these things, that's your problem. But that's usually not the case. Usually the case is we see a nice girl, we see a good attitude, we see this, we see that. All of a sudden, later on, they change. You know why? Because they see you change. They all of a sudden, they're like, Ibi, wait a minute, you weren't like that. She said, you weren't like that. Why does that usually happen? So you weren't like that. Yeah, but you also weren't like that. You understand? So now he's waiting for her to change. And she's waiting for him to change. But really, the way we understand from the book is the man has to take charge. And if all the calamity is really going around, really it's where? The Makor is over here. Yeah, and that's where we have to start. It says the journey to correct just one character flaw is long and arduous. It's very long. Filled with successes and failures, traps and tests. One must be incredibly tenacious to complete the journey. But when we work, we see results. Our sages say, if you labor and achieve, you can believe it. Meaning, he says, it's not easy to work on a character. It's not a one-day thing. It's not a one-week thing. It's not a one-month thing. It's not a one-year thing. It's a lifetime of work. Here, because as you go up in challenges, you get further more challenged. And therefore, you have to go and challenge that as well. And you have to overcome those challenges. So it's not like a lot of people think, oh yeah, I read the book. Okay, 1 week I was good. Oh, I see a nice change. Yalla, close the book, let's go. No, it doesn't work like that. There's the next step. Why? Because just like a person, I always use bodybuilder because over there you could see, he's a skinny guy like this. He builds himself up to a nice muscular thing. Why? Every day he's putting more weight and more weight and more hours and more weight and more weight. And he sculpts himself a nice, body. Same thing with this. We are sculpting our character.
And she is the trainer.
Exactly. And she's our resistance. He called her the resistance. She's our resistance. You understand? And we have to manage through the resistance and not break down and start crying, I can't lift this. No, this is Hashem says you could lift it. That's why I gave it to you. And I didn't give it to him. Each one of us has different challenges. Sometimes I look at other people's challenges, I'm like, I wish I had those challenges. Right? It looks so simple. Yeah, but that's not for you. And that's why you have the challenges you do, and he has the challenges he does, and you have the challenges that you have. Here, there's Israel Abba Zerotas. So in bringing this book to an end, because at the end of the day, now it's coming out to finding a mate.
It's also important to study.
Yeah. We will do that. But let's just recap on what we said. Number one, a man has to be a man and he has to take charge of his family. Why? Because he's the one who's in charge of the family. It's not she, right? You're the one who's in charge of the family. Halachically, you marry the woman. You